Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships here in Hanover, Germany. Really excited. This is my second time in Germany, actually. I'm picking up a little bit of German. I learned there's different formalities, different ways to say hello. This morning I was taught how to say a very courteous hello. I don't know, so to the German people, Deine Mutter.
More German than I've got.
Now, we just learned, even against top Korean teams, what happens when you don't ban Thresh against Edward. Something tells me no other team's going to make that mistake again.
I don't think so.
Yeah, another interesting thing. So we're about to jump into Fnatic versus Incredible Miracle. Fnatic not doing so hot today, losing their first 2 games. They're actually on the ropes. They're now in a must-win situation. And the reason I think they're in that must-win situation is because Pain took out Millennium on the other stream.
I'm honestly upset we missed that one, because Millennium were playing very strong in the earlier games. They looked like they had a lot of promise, but Pain managed to beat them. I mean, Millennium have got, it's common knowledge, it goes around the scene, they've got a group of very large egos. Those guys love themselves, and as a result, they can get quite cocky. And ultimately, I don't want to take anything away from Pain, but that's what I feel has happened. They got overconfident, they won their 2 games, they went, it's all right. We're playing against Pain now. They're nothing. It's fine. We'll just go and have some fun. And Pain outplayed them. So honestly, if it's going to be the VOD I go home and watch tonight on whatever poor Wi-Fi or whatever I can find somewhere, car park, McDonald's or something.
Well,
that game is something I want to see.
Let's take stock really quickly of exactly where the group is right now. Of course, Gambit Gaming, they are 3-0 in the group. CJ enters Blaze 2-1 after taking a loss to the Russian Overlords, which is what we've been starting to call them. Pain Gaming tied with Millennium 1-2. 1 win, 2 losses apiece. And down at the bottom half of the table, it is Incredible Miracle 1-1 and Fnatic 0-2. So this is their 3rd game each. And for Fnatic to really stay in the game right now, they need to pick up a win here. If they go 1-2, they'll then be tied. It'll be a 3-way tie, meaning they stand a better chance of actually making it through to the playoffs.
Yeah, we are into Champion Select though, and there is our first ban, just as we've expected, and as we've seen time and time again. Xin Chao taken out. We did see Misfortune ban away from Yellow Star a couple of times in the earlier rounds. LG this time on red side, sorry, they said that. But maybe that's going to affect their ban choices a little bit. But again, Chet, we've seen him every game. I said it before, he will be picked or he will be banned in every single one. First time we've seen him banned though.
Yep. And Kale, to keep the streak going, banned every single game today that we've seen.
Nobody wants to deal with that, Kale. Nobody wants him in their game at the moment, so it is just being removed from the pool. We have seen Misfortune banned out time and time again against Yellow Star, so we'll see if it's not banned out, if they decide to lock that in and where they want to go. Interestingly, we haven't seen a Leona just yet, so I'm still waiting to see that being pulled out because we know how strong N-rated is on that champion.
He definitely seems to be shying away from it. He's got lots of other options, lots of different champions. When they have to go back and fall back on some old school stuff, that's what comes out, but they're trying new things, they're trying different people, and that's what he's going with, but it doesn't seem to be working so far. Thresh and Rumble are our last 2 bans. Rumble, of course, we saw early on, which actually went very well in that situation, Millennium using it to beat Fnatic. So, smart ban. Fnatic not ready to come up against that again, but it does mean there's a lot of other champions open. Thresh and Twisted Fate, actually, I want to comment on that. IEM ban in there. One of Peke's many backdoorable champions off the table.
That's not surprised to see Thresh banned again. That's for sure.
Yes,
in fact, maybe I'm wrong, but I think every game he's either been banned or on the winning team.
Ooh,
I don't think Thresh has lost
someone in chat, tweet at us and let us know.
Someone's typing right now, what a dumbass.
Yeah, but I think it sounds about right at the moment. Jarvan being locked in, we're probably going to see him in the jungle, most likely for Cyanide. It's a champion that in EU at least we have actually seen in the mid lane from time to time, but more realistically it's probably going to be in the jungle there. Rumble being banned out, targeted probably towards Smeb. It's the 2nd time we've actually seen a ban against Incredible Miracle, and it caught us by surprise when Blaze did it, and obviously they know something we don't, locking in Varus and Volibear there for Incredible Miracle.
Jarvan is one of the champions that can go in the top lane too. I want to point that out too. He's less common, but if anyone's going to do it, could be so as. But it's also going to depend on what LG decide to, or IEM, sorry, decide to go with. He's got a very select few matchups that he does particularly well on, some that he doesn't, and so we'll have to see what they have. But with Misfortune being left open, there is that perfect bottom lane for Yellow Star and Unrated. Really strong level 2 aggression. As soon as that Zenith Blade stun combo comes out from Unrated, there's a lot of burst damage that can come down from Yellow Star. They can snowball that through, just hunt down the movement speed buff, the what's the name of the W? Because I forgot
Impure Shots.
Impure Shots, that's the one. be the guys to ask.
Do they have flashcards at Riot, you guys cycle? There's like 450 ability names.
It's just my little one-trick pony, unfortunately. But yeah, the thing that's awesome about the synergy as well is Leona gets so powerful with the W. Nami maybe being locked in here.
Please
if this does, I'm going to be over the moon because it's one of my favorite support champions to play, and she doesn't get enough love in the pro scene. That Aqua Prison, her Q, has the ability to literally stun an entire team if they're grouped up tightly enough. It is relatively slow moving in the air though, and this is what we were saying earlier. It did get a minor buff, so we'll see how it pans out. There's going to be a lot of pressure on whoever plays Jarvan in this matchup because he's going to be responsible for locking in that bear and crocodile that is Volibear and Renekton.
If I remember correctly, Jarvan doesn't do too badly against Renekton. I mean, Renekton is a very strong early laner and then just scales very, very well towards the late game. But it could still possibly be Soa's running that Jarvan in the top lane. That's there. I mean, it's not 100% here, but if you actually look at it, Cyanide picking AD carry, Peke picking support, could suggest going by these picks here. If Yellow Star picked something jungle friendly, that could be what ends up in there. Like just that one swap is more often. Like players like to limit the amount of swaps they have because of this.
Look at Cyanide's face.
History of bugs and things. And yeah,
he's very, very stressed and nervous and really thinking hard. I mean, they're on the ropes. They're 0-2 right now. Out of the 5 games in the group, there is only 3 chances left to try and qualify for the playoffs.
And I mean, Fnatic are a team that are normally very smiley, very happy, very fun-loving guys. And to see them looking down there 0-2, looking tired, it's not something we see all the time. So to be honest, it doesn't bode too well for their outcome. I mean, they're communicating, chatting, they are looking upbeat, they are ready for this game. They do have the final roster from Fnatic there, with Peke taking his teleport. Katarina will be the ultimate decider. And first Malphite of the tournament, which is a bit of a surprise considering how strong he is. We've seen a lot of bans through tournament play, we've seen a lot of picks through tournament play, and it's something that we know COGNA like to run in their 2v1 lanes, because you don't have to particularly win the lane, just stay alive, and he will still be a very useful champion. That ultimate is so powerful coming out of nowhere. I'm
a little bit nervous about Fnatic because they're a little bit of a press R composition right now. They're going to be very reliant on the unstoppable force, the bullet time, the solar flare. You know, everything together is going to need to be combined. And you can see there was LeBlanc hovered over for a second, and I was about to lose it because I love LeBlanc. And it is going to be probably Rise as the final pick here. Last couple seconds ticking down. So Incredible Miracle, they've got a super tanky team. That front line of Volibear, Renekton, and Rise is going to be very, very scary. And the last time the teleport flash Katarina went up against a tanky composition, let's just say it didn't end all that well for Peke.
No, that went down quickly. And we're going to watch Cyanide here too. We know how Fnatic love to run double teleport. Is he going to do it this time around? He normally does it, of course, on Volibear. Doesn't have that Volibear for it this time around. Is going to take that job by the looks of things. And we have seen last minute swaps from before. We see, of course, Dragonborn.
Always plays a lot of Malphite in the top lane. He's done it fairly often in the last couple of weeks as well. So that would probably be the final composition that I'm expecting out of them. But both mid laners for Fnatic and Incredible Miracle running teleport.
I'm really interested by this IEM bottom lane. Varus is someone that, yes, we've seen a lot of recently, but he's still coming into it. He's still fairly new to it. So people are still learning him and figuring out how he works. So he's not quite as refined yet. But Nami, yes, she's big in the Asian scene at the moment. Yes, we've seen a lot of the Korean teams and the Chinese teams and those layers playing her since the buffs. We haven't seen it in the West yet. None of the American teams I can think of, none of the European teams. So this is going to be a very steep learning curve for that Fnatic bottom lane.
All right, well, the game is ready. The players are ready. We're all ready. Our casters for this match are Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan. Take it away, boys.
Thanks a lot, guys. So, Fnatic versus LGIM, Jason. This is a real last chance showdown for Fnatic more than it is for LGIM. As the guys over there said earlier on, that Millennium lost out to the Brazilian side of Pain, which I think on any normal day is an upset, but the fact that they beat Fnatic before losing that game is even more of an upset.
That's really confusing, I have to say. I mean, not to be disrespectful, but I think we would all agree that Fnatic is a much stronger team than Pain, but I guess Millennium got a little bit cocky and they ended up losing. But still, I mean, with the standings we have right now, it's very interesting how they're developing. I never would have thought Fnatic could actually be on the bottom side of the bracket. Or the group standings.
Yeah, well, we say the bottom side, they're actually just the bottom right now. Let's not beat around the bush here. 0-2. I mean, they've had a couple of hard games, although you'd probably have said coming into this game that Millennium and Pain were maybe the 2 teams that they'd be expecting to beat without a question.
Right.
and the others not so much. I mean, I don't want to take much away from Millennium because at the end of the day, they are a very, very strong team. We call it an upset, quite frankly, because Fnatic are an LCS team and Millennium aren't right now.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Millennium, they had their chance. They looked really solid during the qualifiers. They went 2-0, and yet just they lost to Wolves. They could not seem to like bring their skill the next day. It seems like they forgot it at home.
Yeah, that was kind of a sad thing, in my opinion. I mean, Millennium were definitely up there when you looked at the list of teams for that LCS qualifier and said they should probably get in at the end of it.
You're right.
I think Against All Authority were the team that people didn't expect, even themselves, and they said afterwards, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that we're in here. But Millennium definitely showing today that they can beat some of the best in the world. You could definitely call Fnatic some of the best in the world right now. Then losing to Pain is like just a weird thing for me. I mean, like you said, I don't want to take anything away whatsoever from Pain because Intel Extreme Masters Brazil, they were good. They weren't world beating. I wouldn't have ever said that they beat Millennium on a normal day, to be honest. But again, no one in this tournament has had eyes on Pain. No one has said, okay, let's prepare for Pain. Where do they watch their games? You know, most of these teams have been busy, whether that's the Korean sides or the European sides. They've all been busy playing, so they've probably not prepared for Pain. So they still have that kind of ability to put a spanner in the works.
And the thing is, I mean, teams have the good days and the bad days, the good games, the bad games. And with Millennium, I think, and Pain are one of those teams where if they're on, like if they're playing well, they can play extremely well and compete with the best of the best. But if they play bad, they just seem to have that tough time of, you know, working on their stability in terms of how good they are as a team. And I think those definitely fall into that kind of category. But look at the top side of the standings. I mean, Gambit 3-0, they played phenomenal all day today. Blaze 2-1, and then LGIM, who you're seeing play again right now, 1-1. So it's still very close at the top, and still looking at it, I just would not have expected Fnatic to be at the bottom. I mean, I hate to keep saying it, but I don't think really anyone out there expected that.
No, but that's the story right now. I mean, Gambit 3-0, a team which traditionally doesn't do well in group stages. Let's look back to Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, an event which they won. They destroyed both Azubu, or now CJ Enters teams, and they looked unstoppable. But in the group stage, they only managed to get through via a tiebreaker. A tiebreaker, which obviously is done on time, so just going to go ahead and call it a tiebreaker from this point onwards. But yeah, I mean, we have some teams here that were obviously here last year for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. Fnatic didn't do well here last year. Gambit won the tournament without dropping a map. Like, really completely different form from last year, but it's a different game right now. League of Legends is, you can't compare this CeBIT and last CeBIT, quite frankly, because of the patches.
Yeah, and we've talked about actually when Season 3 patch hit and we were finally cast on the new patch, sorry, in Katowice, we were saying, you know, Gambit, they used to be one of those teams that adapt really quickly and, you know, bring out the new meta, but it was all about the Korean teams then. And then somehow, just out of nowhere, Gambit just like turned it on and just finally realized, oh, this is how Season 3 works. So, I mean, it really is anyone's game, and Fnatic finishing that low last season, I mean, you know they want to get back at that. You know they want to say, hey, you know, we finished 9th or 10th last season, but we want to be at, you know, well, obviously #1, but at least top 3 for this one, just to show you that we are a world-class team, which, you know, they definitely are.
So we've got one interesting pick, at least from our side here in Europe, because something that we don't see, or at least haven't seen up until now in our big tournaments, and that is the Nami pick coming out of LGIM. Obviously was banned against Fnatic. Did Blaze ban it against Fnatic?
Yeah, it was
the ban? We already saw it banned today once.
It made kind of no sense. We didn't really expect it.
It was against...
I'm finding it.
You got it. Jason's got his notes all written down. It was against the Twisted Fate in the team.
Yep, Fnatic.
Yeah, it was against Fnatic. Okay, so Blaze banned it against Fnatic. We didn't particularly know why.
I don't even think the N-rated placer at all.
No. It was probably like, well, I guess that's not my Leona that's got him banned out then, so that's nice.
Yes, yeah, speaking of Leona, he has it this game, and he's talked about it during the LCS that it's like his favorite support. He hates how everyone bans it against him, and we've seen him just so many times in the past just dominate a lane and dominate that late game team fight with that ultimate, with a CC he has. He's just a phenomenal Leona. And also Yellowstar on Misfortune. We've seen him so many times, just, what was it, like 8-0-9, a couple of games in LCS already, just a great Misfortune. Then you have Xpeke on Katarina, which we saw versus, I believe it was EG, just I'm running out of adjectives here, Joe, to describe how well they did.
Yeah, but this is a completely different kettle of fish. Yes, you've got pressure on you in that LCS season, but you're not getting knocked out in the next couple of weeks. Here, though, if they don't turn up and play the performance that they need to bring against LGIM, they could be going home.
Very true indeed. And I'm really curious if this Nami is going to do extremely well, extremely bad. The opposite. I mean, well, because in the OGN Winter 2012 series, I saw her played once, and I believe that was a Zubu Frost, and it didn't work out well for them at all. But, you know, look at their composition. It has potential, especially with the Volibear. If you get that nice flip, you can use that wave to hit everyone else that's trying to come in and save that person. You have the Rune Prison to lock them down, the Varus ultimate as well, which can work in with Nami's ultimate. And then you have Renekton, who's just so annoying to go up against. He just builds straight tank, he still does a lot of damage, and he also has that armor shred on top of that.
Well, who are you fancying here? We've got the two teams picked in there. Obviously, Sohaz on Malphite is a big pick, in my opinion. We know how comfortable he is. Yellow Star on Misfortune, Leona for N-rated. Like, these are champions that Fnatic are really comfortable with overall.
I think I'm about to give this one to LGIM, actually. I don't know. I mean, we've seen teams finally have comfortable champions, but already going 0-2, that really sets you in a bad mood and really takes away from like any energy you're going to have towards this game to look at it as, you know what, forget those last two ones, let's focus on this game. But I think LGIM, Joe. Just that composition is so tanky.
So here we go then, we are back in game. The players actually had a remake, which is why we were just waiting here, filling in a little bit of time, but we are back into the game. Jason, level 1, can we expect anything here?
I don't think out of Fnatic, they don't have the CC they really need. Yeah, they have the Leona, but overall they're not going to have a lot of damage because of Malphite. If anything, LGM's going to make the move with that flip, with that Renekton stun, and not to mention the Rune Prison. But according to the way they're setting up right now, it's just going to be let's set the line of scrimmage and just wait until, well, let's just get our jungles, or our normal routes, and then we'll just play it out in the lane phase.
Well, let's have a look then. What exactly is going to go down? Where these early wards are placed on the bottom side of the river. Both teams placing a ward in there, one in the bush on the top of the river. You see there, N-rated, just putting one outside of the tri-bush ramp. So it looks to me like they're going to be starting these golems, and it looks like Jarvan may be starting bottom side of the map here as well. As the pings do go down there, that'll be Nami actually just going through into the bush. Going to put one up by that by the Wraiths. So nothing really too spectacular right from the get-go. Yep,
and taking a look at runes real quick, if anyone at home is interested, we do have some interesting stuff coming out. Cyanide actually is running 1% crit on his jungle Jarvan, which you typically see on AD carries these days, just for that random crit factor. If it happens, you pretty much automatically win your lane. Looking over at LGIM, Lasha has 10% cooldown reduction with 12 flat spell pen, 8% from his mastery, so he's going to look for a very aggressive kind of build there. And then we also have that 4% spell or life steal on Varus, so Paragon running that yet again.
So here we go then, start for Cyanide by his Wraiths. His AD carry and support are actually doing the golems on the bottom side, as we saw LGIM there just headed back away from that blue buff. I wasn't sure if they were going to go with 3 men down towards that bottom side of the Fnatic map, but in the end deciding against it. Cyanide going to have this red buff away pretty quickly. Lilac going to do the blue.
And looking at how these lanes are going to develop, John, I'm trying to figure out which lane is going to be really the most action-packed, and I have to say it's the bottom. With that Leona, when Jarvan ever comes in there for a gank, it's just going to be such a deadly kind of thing to get away from. And also, and rated as you're going to see in the river, put down a pink ward, so he really wants some sort of aggression from his own jungler at the bottom lane, or at least some insecurity out of the other team to not be sure exactly where the jungler is going to be coming in from.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Paragon's Varus is going to be played this time around. Obviously, Yellow Star, I think coming into last week, before we started last week, he had something ridiculous like a 28 KDA on this Misfortune, so certainly knows his way around Misfortune, that is for sure. Middle lane, of course, Rise versus Katarina. Don't expect too much there unless a misstep comes out of play, mainly by Peke, I'd say, in these earlier stages. Top lane, Malphite versus Renekton. Without jungle help, should also be a fairly safe lane for both.
Yeah, it's going to be a very passive, just farming away. So I was going to build probably a Sunfire Cape, just get really tanky. And in the mid lane, I mean, one thing that's really interesting about it is that mid king, he's Rise, so he's going to be a very dominant late game carry, but early on, he's not that great. Like, he needs that mana stacked up, he needs that tier, he needs that Rod of Ages, and it takes a while for him to actually get those items. As expected, already being dropped pretty low in that mid lane, as you see on your screen, and that's just the power, well, misstepping, I really like to say. I mean, I was going to say Rise, that's the power of Rise, but he gets so much stronger than that, and if you step too far out, he's going to combo you and drop you down.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the danger that I was talking about just a second or two ago. There we see another combo coming out of Rise. keeping Peke below half HP, but if Peke keeps harassing, you know, he's a champion that has no cost on his abilities, and Rise is going to get low on mana quick.
Yeah, very true. I mean, he's going to need that blue buff eventually. Most likely going to be going back for a Catalyst or a Tier pretty soon. He's getting very close to picking that up, but he went for Boots just for the extra mobility, because Jarvan's ganks, I mean, we have to talk about him. He's so strong early on with his ganking power. That combo of knocking them up with the red buff, the damage from your passive, it really catches people off guard, and you start to fall off as the game progresses. We do see actually Enrated going on the bot lane.
Yeah, going in here with Paragon. Yellow Star just getting locked up there by Lasher, and they may look to turn this one around. Lasher actually deciding in the end not to come around, as we are going to see Volibear coming in. There's the Rune Prison, actually helped a little bit there by Lilac, was flung back towards the river away from Rise, but Peke will survive, but not without taking a good chunk of damage.
Yeah, and speaking of chunk of damage, I mean, we saw Paragon drop to a 3rd health just from one combo out of Fnatic right there, so that's just going to be a really scary lane for him. He's not running Cleanse, which is kind of surprising, since you need to get out that Leona ultimate. I mean, you're going to get knocked up by Malphite, you're going to get stunned right after with Leona. You have to have some sort of escape, as we see him engage yet again.
Yeah, it goes straight in there once again, and rated this time now. Not getting really the combo off that they would have looked for. Lilac is actually waiting in the middle lane once again, as he is going to start running. Can they get anyone locked out? Flash away from Cyanide, not wanting to be involved there at all.
It's a good job by Lilac. He's been, you know, obviously around this mid lane quite a bit. He's blown the flashes out of Cyanide and Xpeke at this point. But the thing is, if they can't make a kill off of it until it's, unless it comes, or when it comes back up, then there's no point really to that gank. It does apply a lot of pressure. But Rise, he's going to need to get that tier. He's going to need to get some farm before he can start really hurting. And Xpeke actually going for Sword Boots as his first pickup.
Yeah,
a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for him. If he wants to get in there, the extra movement speed plus that penetration coming out as well, always a good thing to have. But the thing about the Jarvan not having flash, for example, is his gap closer as well, going in for ganks, not just being able to escape. So that might hinder them in the future, as Lilac going to come in. They get the flip on towards Yellow Star. This could be bad. Enrated may be able to save him. Yellow Star flashes away, but he's going very, very low. Can they get the finisher? One more auto attack. There it is. Lilac picks up first blood, but Xpeke is coming down. They focus around onto Lasher. Knockup will end up coming in onto Paragon. Here comes the teleport into that bomb lane from Mid King as he locks Cyanide in there, and that will be 2 kills for LGIM.
Great play by them. Lilac with perfect positioning, coming in there, catching Yellow Star. I mean, it's a misfortune. If you get a couple of kills on her, set her behind, your AD carry is going to have a really nice time. In the top lane, though, we see Malphite actually potentially could get dove on right here, as the ult is popped by Renekton. Wow,
he flashed in there. Not sure that he 100% needed to do that one, but he will be able to get the kill. Unstoppable Force was used nicely underneath the turret, and CeBIT will pick up the kill. So we say we won't see anything in that top lane without them really getting the jungle help. Well, we see that CeBIT's certainly not scared of what possibly is the best top laner in the world.
And I mean, the thing is, at that point, he can easily go in, since he knows that Jarvan was bot lane, knows Cyanide was down there, so it gives you that, you know, hey, I can be really aggressive at the top, and that's why you saw him sitting around that turret for quite a bit. But overall, Fnatic being down 0-3 at this point. We've seen him come back from, you know, obviously larger deficits than this. We do have teleport on Xpeke, and I really want to see, as he finally just hit level 6, how dangerous he's going to be. We've seen him teleport around before and snowball from, you know, 0-3 up to like 7-3, just that quickly, as he does go in on Mid King, but not going to get too much damage, just about half.
Yeah, about half HP taken away. He is behind on the farming, but that bottom lane, despite Varus being 1-0-1, is behind considerably on farm at this point. The Yellow Star, but he's come back in there with that BF sword. Only a long sword and Doran's blade for Yellow Star. And we talked about this whole falling behind when you're in an aggressive lane like a Leona. If you end up going behind in that scenario, it's really, really hard to get back in.
Especially when the other lane has sustain at this point. The thing is, when we see Enrated finally hit 6, we might see a kill on Paragon. His flash still is down, but with that ultimate up with Nami as well, they can lock him up under that turret and get a lot of free damage onto them.
There is Cyanide waiting as well as they put the pink ward down. That should maybe give a clue, especially if they've seen that other ward go down there. When they were so desperate to gain the vision advantage. Cyanide going to move in towards that second position. Ward right at the end here, which will allow Xpeke to teleport into a fairly deep position, as close as it possibly can be, really, without being seen by LGIM. But whether they end up going for that is another thing. I can't imagine that Paragon and Lasher are going to get completely fooled by that.
Yeah, I like and also dislike what CeBIT just did. I mean, he wants to secure a kill at this bot lane since we see that Paragon already is up a kill and assist and was down a little bit in CS, but has no escape at this point. But they let Mid King get his blue, and that is a big factor of how the game is actually going to develop. He's 0-0-1 at this point. Obviously, not a great score, it's a good score, not amazing, but he really will become such a bigger threat as the game progresses when he gets really tanky. As CeBIT committing a lot of time, they are going to go for the gig.
They're going in on towards Paragon. Here comes a bullet time, perfectly executed by Fnatic, and that was just the patience that they played in there paying off.
And hopefully they turn this into a dragon as well, or maybe even a turret. That'll give him a nice gold boost to get back in this game. And that was, overall well played from CeBIT. He's committed a lot of time down there, but at least they got a kill off of it.
Yeah, really patient stuff as Volleybet is hanging around here as well. Goes in for the fear. Are they going to go underneath the turret? They've got in on towards Lasher. They're going for the kill. Can they finish off? Misfortune is there. One more auto attack needed. Jarvan's going to have to mop that one up as Peke comes in from the side. Can they do anything? They've got vision of Mid King and Lilac from this one. He's gone back in there to put a ward down. This could be the end of him if he's not careful. As we see Enrated go in. Perfect fling back though from Lilac. And Enrated going to be disappointed with how that one turned out, that's for sure.
Well, he tried to make sure that they get their pink ward killed before they lost theirs, but it worked out, unfortunately, not too well for him as he was the one to die right there. And it's kind of a shame because we could have saw Fnatic actually pick up a turret or a dragon off of that. I mean, look how low that bottom turret is currently. We do have Xpeke going head-to-head against Mid King in the mid lane, though. Yeah,
Mid King actually pushing in onto me. Can't quite get the finisher, but with that blue buff on as well, he's able to spam a lot more out here. I'm not sure that Xpeke can really hang around. He's got flash coming up in 5 seconds, Mid King, and he may well just go for this one. And in the end, Peke starting to back off. Mid King will just sit back and let those minions come out to him and be happy with what he's got going on from there. Here is Smeb in the top lane as well. He's pushed right past the turret.
I thought he was playing Singe for a second.
Completely deny all that farm as they spot Lilac down on their bottom side of the jungle. Fnatic like, wait a minute, how did that volley bear get in here? And they see that they actually have no vision whatsoever of the entries and exits into their own jungle as Lilac is going to come out, gets a flip down onto Enrated. Zenith Blade will come in. Here come Lasher and Paragon. They get the slow onto Enrated. But can they get any more? It's going to be a close one. They need that flip again from Lilac, who's running in onto him. He's going to get the back. There's a Varus ultimate. And the Q comes through as well. But now they need to be careful because Peke and Cyanide are both coming in. There's a tidal wave. The bullet time coming over the side. Mid King will take down Cyanide. But can they get any more? Lilac on towards Yellow Star. Paragon in behind him. Flash from Yellow Star to get back onto the turret range. But they need to be real careful. With Peke coming in the side, Yellow Star gets a 1 kill. Paragon will have to flash away completely from that one, and a messy encounter down on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, very messy. We even saw Soaz come in at the last second, missed his ultimate outright, and it was a shame because we had expected finally get his reset. Smet trying to go in, but I don't think he can actually pick up a kill here.
He's going to be very brave to do so as they put some pressure onto Soaz as well, but Peke was definitely the target in there. Soaz already got a giant spell and the chain vest built up, so he's certainly not in a position to really die unless he runs into 3 of them like that. They baited him in completely from this one. What was Soaz thinking there? He'd figured that they'd all gone back as Peke going to ult in. Well, has he got the damage? No, he doesn't. Paragon gets another one. And that was a bad call from Fnatic.
And Joe, Ryze just went from 1-0-1 to 4-0-2 off of that fight at the bot lane. That is not what you want to do. You do not want to feed that Ryze. He's got 2,000 gold to back with. He's going to have that catalyst. He's going to have that Rod of Ages done very, very shortly. And Fnatic not looking so strong in this game. They can't afford to be giving away these kills when these team fights are going to be so close at this point. Yeah. Well, actually not even close anymore. I mean, with how fed that enemy team's getting, we have Renekton. He picks up a Warmogs as his first item.
Yeah, that's the danger that Fnatic are in right now after that one. That's why I don't understand that Soaz went so far without knowing for sure that all 3 of them had actually left there. So either way, Fnatic are going to be starting out a Dragon. Don't think that LGIM will be able to respond to this. It's going to bring them right back up close with the gold. Obviously, they are quite far away in terms of the kills as Ryze is now going to come back in. Does have the Sorcerer's Shoes upgraded in there as well to get the cooldown on his teleport and flash, and also that catalyst is now finished.
And items are still starting to develop across the map. We see Soaz going towards that Sunfire Cape, going to need that little bit of extra armor to help, not to mention the AoE damage. The thing is, I'm not really convinced on a Malphite for this composition. We were talking before about, you know, maybe Orianna would be a perfect mid-comp to go, or mid-champ to go with, so you have that nice combo, but, you know, we'll see how it works on as the game does progress. We see Jarvan has that Kindle Gem, has his Madrid's Razor and his Ninja Tabbies. And then Xpeke, I mean, he has it haunting guys. You saw how close it was at that bot lane fight. Like, he kept getting resets, and if he just got maybe one more kill, he could have taken out the entire team.
Yeah.
He's on a nice edge. And if they can just get those kills, get them low enough with that whole Misfortune Ultimate and Leona combo, then they can get those resets, they can get those kills, and Fnatic will easily be back in the game.
Well, Fnatic obviously have that whole go-in team there with the Unstoppable Force and the Cataclysm and the Death Lotus with Enrater just diving straight in on top of them. So they're going to be right in there when this fight comes down. Nami obviously going to throw the tidal wave out there to get that knock-up onto everyone. And it's actually, speaking of Nami, could be in a little bit of trouble here. Down at the bottom, and there is the tidal wave, comboed in with the Varus ultimate. And Raider going to get locked up. Here comes the teleporting. It's Lasher that picks up the kill. Just as I was talking about it, we see it in action.
What an amazing tidal wave out of Nami right there. You saw, we saw Enrage try to go in with his E, but got caught up and it was kept away. And then the amazing teleport out of Mid King. They are really spot on with their communication right now. Mid King taking every single advantage out of that teleport. And Joe, we always talk about, we see Jarvan going in the bot lane with the Misfortune Ultimate going across.
Yeah, that could be bad news for Paragon here. He's already very low. Exhaust comes down, but can he actually get away? Xpeke is coming around. He will finish this one off. Can he get over onto Lasher? Knockup comes out, and Xpeke will secure 2 kills right after each other.
And right as LJM got a nice little kill spree at the bottom, they end up losing it away, giving it over to Xpeke. It just seemed like they were a little bit overextended, but still in the top lane, they're going to push this turret down. We'll be able to get a little bit of extra gold off of that.
Yeah, this one is going to go down, no question about that. LJM actually headed south right now. Are they going to go in for that turret? Middle turret on the outer, just going low for Fnatic as well. That blue buff obviously was stolen away last time, and that's the first that Fnatic are going to really know about that one.
Well, luckily for them, though, it's not a huge hit. I mean, they don't really have someone dependent on that cooldown reduction on that mana, but you got to take it away from Mid King. I mean, you can't give it up for free. It'd be nice to go into SOS, you have the ultimate up quicker, but you got to keep it away from Mid King as much as possible. And if Fnatic want to at least deny him or prevent him from getting even stronger when he's already 4-0-3, they have to do it through that.
Let's have a look at the items here and the farm. Not something that we've really touched on, as we see Fnatic actually pushing aggressively into middle lane. Not sure that they'll be able to react quick enough to this one. Renekton and Volibear both coming in, and that's 2 champions that can close ground very quickly and cause all kinds of problems. And Fnatic say, no, not even worth the risk, with the threat of Paragon or Nami coming in to really lock us up from that one.
But they're leaving their mid turret open right now.
Yeah, 2 men actually going completely back there for Fnatic. At least so has Enrated and Yellow start. Are they going to be able to stop this push? Will LGIM go for this turret? We could probably see the bullet time when it comes up being used just to clear them out, but they're not going to be quick enough. And that was a mistake, in my opinion, from Fnatic.
Yeah, I really wonder, like, we always see those situations, Joe, and I'm curious, what happens if they did stay and defend? Would it have been a nice team fight for the other team to pick up a couple of kills, or would they have been able to defend it? Because we actually do have an engage coming out right now. We have SOAS getting caught.
Oh, Volibear coming in. Room Prison is down. There is a tidal wave coming right over. Nice combo. There's the bullet time as well, and Rated dropping very, very low. Renekton is focusing on Misfortune here, as Lilac just about survives that one. Xpeke in all kinds of trouble. Finished off there by Lasher in the end. That's going to be 4 kills. And as I said, Misfortune got the bullet time over, but was completely focused by Renekton.
And this is the thing, if LGM didn't get like a couple of kills early on, they would have been tanky enough to survive the damage that Fnatic put out, and if they would have got, or would have hit those kills, they would have picked them up, Xpeke would have killed them one by one and would have easily won that fight for them, and that's the downside to a snowball, is when the enemy team just starts to get those kills on you, they get too tanky, they get too many items over you, and it's really hard to come back from it.
Well, to look through what we have so far, 13 to 16 kills, 3-1 in turrets, 27.2 to 23.7, so not the biggest of gold leads coming into this, but still significant, and we've seen what happens when it goes right for LGIM. The kills that Fnatic have got, I'd say, were as a result of maybe a little bit of sloppy play in there, and also some great moves from Fnatic, with that teleport in particular coming out of Peke. So looking down the items, then what do we have finished off?
Well, we have, obviously Sunfire Cape, as we mentioned earlier, the lockout of the Iron Slurry done for Sinai, going to help him with that CDR, not to mention that nice little bit of a shield. And the Abyssal still coming out of Xpeke. He needs to get a little bit tanky to survive the damage that LGM can put out, not to mention Mid King alone being 5-0-5 at this point. Bloodthirster done over for Yellowstar. Gonna need that sustain as you were talking about last time. That last fight, Smeb went straight for him, locked him up, and he's got to be able to sustain against him and survive. And then Unrated trying to build a little bit of health just to get somewhat tanky, just because he has to be that tanky force for his team to allow Xpeke and Yellowstar to get the damage in.
So Fnatic here just picking up as much as he can. If we look down the mini-map, it's Pink Ward City on the bottom side of Fnatic's jungle. There are 4 Pink Wards down for LGIM. That is a big cost, actually. 4 of them down.
An Oracle for that.
Yeah, just to lock that area down. But if it works for them, then why not? If they're thinking that they can afford to do that at this stage of the game, then they're probably happy with it, as the dragon is now up and spawned.
It's funny, with all their pink wards down, they still missed that one.
The most obvious one in that bush right there. And they've got no pink wards left, surprisingly enough, to take that one out. But here we go then. Dragon not actually going to get started off here, or not really intended to be. I think that was Renekton. But there will be no Dragon just for now. What are LG looking for here?
Fnatic, they want to fight, but they can't unless they catch someone on LGIM, and the way they're positioning themselves, they're not really able to do that. And the thing is, Fnatic can't contest this dragon, but LGM wants to bait them in, wants to make them overconfident, and then pick up a couple more kills, take the dragon, and then just shove it down mid, maybe pick it up an inhibitor.
There's a Demacian standard thrown in from Cyanide. Let's see. Okay, dragon's still there, that's all good. No problem on that front. Let's push in towards that middle turret. They're going to force LGIM to run around the back of their turret here, and that may just give them the position for Baron.
Yeah,
Dragon.
that's what's good that Fnatic just did, because they knew that LGIM had the position on Dragon, so they apply pressure to the mid lane. They make LGIM fall back and get out of position, and gives them a chance to get in there. Unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize on that, and LGIM should be able to take this Dragon, as they're still a little bit scared. Soaz, I think, is what's really scaring them. That ultimate can really shut down a team if they land it perfectly.
Yeah, LGIM definitely getting a bit bored of that dance, starting off the dragon here, which may just force proceedings. Where is Soaz going to go? You can see him just hanging around, getting ready to pick that perfect target. Dragon down very low to just below 900. There we go, taken down actually in the end. Varus ultimate going to come out. Soaz taking a lot of damage. Here comes Tidal Wave. They could go down before even really doing anything here. Well, Peke doing a lot of damage. Bullet time comes across. Cyanide going to die. Peke going to fall down as well, and LGIM all low apart from the rise. Look at him here. Quadra kill coming in. Can he finish off onto Yellowstar? This is going to be real close stuff, but it will be a pentakill coming out of mid-king. Brilliant play from LGIM.
No one focused him down, so he just sat there and attacked the entire time. Now he's teleporting over towards the top side to defend that turret, and Fnatic was so close to winning that fight. Xpeke got the resets going, but Lasha, with that perfect exhaust, shut him down completely. The Cataclysm, he was stuck in it, and then also the Q out of Nami just locked him down. Great play overall. I mean, the MVP of that fight had to have been Lasha, even though mid-king got that penta.
Yeah, and the tidal wave was just so
nice.
Good once again. That's what we're talking, this all-income that Fnatic are going for, that tidal wave alone here can really put it, stop it in its tracks. We saw Soaz was almost dead before he actually used his unstoppable force onto that back line.
And the thing was, like, they lost Dragon, but they engaged after. It's like, if Dragon's up, why not engage before it's taken? That way you have a chance to pick it up as well. But, you know, they lost Dragon, they lost all those members. It's a lot of gold to lose out on that one fight alone. And that's why some teams are, you know, CLG is mostly known for this, or CLG NA, sorry. If Dragon's up, you know, they kind of don't want to fight it, because it can really set you extremely far behind, as we do see right now. That snowball factor in full effect for LGIM.
Really good stuff. 10-0-5 now for mid-king's rise. Could say he's in a good position.
And he's also going for the Archangel staff, which we saw happen in game number 1 with Blaze. And usually you see the mirror mana built up for the auto attacks, but the Koreans are bringing this kind of build to the stage. I'm curious to see how well it actually works out. I mean, you get really tanky of it because of the 25% of the mana converted into a shield, so it can be very misleading. But mid-king's not being focused at all at this point.
Yeah, they didn't touch him in that fight, Fnatic. They left him alone, and you just can't do that when there's a strong rise on the opposite team, as we just see that turret just about saved by Fnatic. So we did see Cyanide coming across as well. They fancied their chances there a little bit, I think. In the end, decided against it, though.
You know, Joe, even with this huge lead that LGIM has, 18-9 in kills, 3-1 at turrets. They're still not up that much gold this far into the game. There is easily a chance for Fnatic to come back. It's just they have to choose their fights wisely. They need to gain control of their own jungle because LGM's keeping it completely warded up. They're trying to keep that vision, keep that control, and that stranglehold onto them. And if they can just clear that up and pick mid king off, any time, not necessarily in a team fight, they get a lot of gold income and they gain a lot of dominance around the map, a lot of pressure.
Problem is they've lost the inner and outer turret in that middle lane, which, as I said, kind of just you just lose control of your own jungle with that one. You've got to fight then with ward control to try and keep vision up on your own side of the map, which is kind of the start of the rot in most cases, and especially now that Lasher has this Oracle on there, going to be clearing out exactly everything that Fnatic can really throw at them. There's one on the bottom side, a couple on the bottom side of the map, but really not that much in there. As blue buff has come off, that's going to be going over to mid king.
And Joe, we talked about earlier, you mentioned specifically having that aggressive bot lane. If you start to fall behind it, you start to really fall behind. And we're seeing that in full effect at this point where Unrated, all he really has is that Ruby Sidestone and a Kindle Gem and, Dorn Shield and a Cloth Armor just to get kind of as tanky as he can, or as he possibly can at this point. But with falling up so far behind early on, he's been really affected in terms of the items as Losh is sitting on 2 GP10 and the Ruby Sidestone, and even boots.
What do you think to the double locket in the team as well that Fnatic have now picked up?
Okay, well, I've heard this, and I believe it's actually true, is that there's kind of like diminishing returns on it where you don't get the full effect when you use the next one. So all in all, it's not bad, but I mean, having an Aegis on your team, that extra magic resist, if you go for the Runic Bulwark, would be really nice for this team setup.
Well, we'll see if they end up going in that direction in the future. Abyssal set to now finish for XPeke, but look at the farm difference there as well. Good 50 CS behind at this stage. And the AD carries similar kind of position as well, but this time in favor of Misfortune. But 13 assists on Varus is actually 900 gold behind there. So Yellowstar is actually having a really good game despite being bullied out of a lot of these team fights. And
the items he has are pretty nice for exactly what they need. I mean, he has that Zeal, the Last Whisper, and the Bloodthirster. He's going to be pretty much one of the key members to getting people low to get XPeke those resets. And the items he has, he can do it. Only problem is if Smeb comes at him, there's nothing that Yellowstar can do unless N-Rated just sits on him and babysits him the entire time.
Exactly, and they're going to have to utilize really what they've got in terms of crowd control straight away for that Renekton. So
that's the thing, like they're an aggressive team. They want to be the ones to engage the fights, but they're so far behind, they have to be defensive in the fights, which doesn't really work with their composition. You don't want to blow the Malphite ultimate to save your AD carry. You want to use it to screw over their AD carry. You don't want to use N-Rated to protect yours. You want to use it to engage upon. And same with Jarvan. And it's thrown their composition off just because they fell behind early on.
Right now, 26 and a half minutes into the game. 6,600 gold, 18-9 in kills, 4-1 in turrets. What's the next move here for LGIM?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Baron, to be honest. I mean, LGIM's just extremely tanky. They have the Oracle down. They're poising for Dragon right now to take and get a little bit of extra gold, but Baron, they easily could. The only downside to Baron is if they get caught in there inside the pit with the Malphite ultimate, then the Jarvan Cataclysm, then the Bullet Time across that, it could be very bad very quickly for them. So I guess they don't even need to go for it. They just want to push their advantage, and with that Dragon, not necessarily taking it for their gold income, but denying it away from Fnatic.
Almost 8,000 gold as you see LGIM going down towards this bottom lane. Ward that was put down earlier on will protect XPeke. He's not going to be caught out on this inner turret, but it looks like they're going to go very Azubu Blaze. We saw Azubu Blaze actually demolishing LGIM earlier on in the day, and it was so textbook. Every single turret taken down, finish the game, no problem. It just looked too easy for them. And it looks like that's the approach that they're going to be going for here against Fnatic.
And that was the weird thing too, because we saw at OGM Winners that LGM took them to a 5-game series where they won the first 2 and then lost the next 3. Obviously with different members this time, so it's a little bit different on your whole team synergy. But Fnatic, if Cyanide backs away, they could lose his turret very quickly since they don't really have what they need to defend it. And Cyanide doesn't have home guard boots yet to get back to lane.
Well, it'll be a 5 versus 4, number 1. Which is never against a team who's stronger than you in that current period. That's not the matchup that you really want to go for, as LGIM are now going to go towards the top. There was a ward spotted with the Oracle, so even less vision for Fnatic. We can see Lilac just charging up towards a blue buff. He's actually got those boots of mobility in there as well, so despite being fast anyway, with those boots on, he's just ridiculously quick across the map.
I was trying to think of a funny bear pun, but then I realized any pun I make is usually not funny, so I just stopped thinking about it. But anyways, we do have LJM. Looks like they're coming around, might try to go for an engage here. CeBIT might be able to catch someone.
Oh, let's see if he can get in there on this one. Here we go, gonna move in. The Varus ulti just about misses. And that was a real close one, to be honest, from LGM. Look at Fnatic. They're not going to stand and back away from this one. They know that they have to keep the pressure on there if they want to stop LGIM from either pushing down that middle. Like, if they'd have gone into their jungle, LGIM would have probably just gone, right, then we're just going to push down middle. You're not going to get there as fast as us. Right. Or backing away to Baron, obviously, is the other thing which Fnatic wants to stop happening this time around. We can see that LJM actually have Renekton right in the back there. They're going to go for it this time around. There comes a tidal wave. It's going to knock everyone from Fnatic in the air, but LJM not very high in health, but Mid King coming around the side here. Varus is also full HP. They need to get on Yellow Star, which they do, instantly do. He's going to fall here. Mid King still healthy enough to get his combos off. Rune Prison going to lock down Soaz. Can they get the finisher though? Not quite. Oh! Yes, they can. This goes through the wall right at the end there, and that is going to be 4 men. Cyanide walked away from that one wounded, but 4 for 1. What a trade there for LGM.
Yeah, perfect trade for them, and that was really close, like, yet again for Fnatic. I mean, they had the damage, they got Xpeke finally getting the reset. They had to use their ultimates defensively, but because Xpeke took so much damage during the middle of that fight, he wasn't able to go back in and start cycling over and over. We saw, you know, Yellowstar almost taking on Mid King 1v1 right there, and almost got him down, but still, LGM going to be taking this inhibitor, we're taking a nice chunk of gold to back with, and Joe, look at the gold we currently have. That is disgusting. We have 3,300 sitting on Ryze at this point, 2,700 on Varus, 2,000 on Renekton, and another 1,200 on Nami. That's
a lot of wards.
That's a lot of everything coming back at Fnatic.
Well, let's see what they pick up now then when they head home. Because like I say, that's the kind of cash that you need to spend up. And actually, we did see Aegis for Ryze and the Abyssal, no, sorry, Warmogs and the Abyssal Scepter for Ryze. Nami picking up the Shurelya's Reverie. That's just 3 amazing items right now for this game for them.
A Warmog's on Ryze. He's sitting at 3,700 life, 3,000 mana. And that is one tanky-ass Ryze. And he doesn't have the Glacial Shroud or Into the Frozen Heart just yet, but still, you can't kill him. If you set everything you possibly have at him, you have Paragon attacking you, you have Smeb attacking you, you have Lasha, who even does a decent amount of damage as well. It's just, they can't focus down. I mean, they can kill one, but the point is, when they do, they use every cooldown possible to do that, and they still have 4 other members to kill.
I'm surprised that we've not seen more Nami, to be honest with you, in the games, because that tidal wave alone is, if you get it in the right position, and it's basically a crescendo with a longer range.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can do that from like the jungle where you're not seen. You can just hit them from the side. They will never see it coming, and it completely sets up your your team for a fight. But I think it's to do with her early game. I mean, she doesn't have that strong of an early game. Her late game obviously does excel, and if you can land those Qs later on in the middle of a team fight, that 1.5 or 1.75 seconds of stasis that you apply to the other person, it just shuts them down.
Right now, Fnatic obviously up against it again after losing those last 4 members. A big spike in items coming out. Renekton actually, Warmog, Sunfire, Hex Drinker, as you said, the Locket, and a lead agent of the Legion, an Aegis of the Legion, over with Volibear. Ryze, well, we already talked about him. He's ridiculously strong. Varus in there with the Bloodthirster, Last Whisper. Zeal got a Negatron cloak coming out as well. Where's he going with that one, Jason?
Oh, I'm assuming most likely towards that QSS. Kind of just get away from the ultimate. I mean, we're talking about he didn't have cleanse, so this is his way of getting around that, just so he gets out of the CC that N-Rated can put out. But I mean, with Baron being started, I'm not sure if Fnatic can actually stop this. They do put a ward down to at least spot it. And with Ryze at bot lane, he has helper available, so does Xpeke, so they easily could come into this fight. But LJM, they do back off instead.
Yeah, but from Fnatic's point of view, where does Beckett teleport to?
No, at this point, they don't really have any wards down.
Jarvan flag.
Well, actually, yeah, that's doable.
That's like the only thing that they've really got now. They don't have much ward coverage, and there is, of course, that Oracle on Lasher. There are pink wards all over the place, but LJM are going to back away once again here. Start doing a 3-man Baron. Mid King is still down at the bottom. He's going to finish that one off. Renekton is in the top lane. He's stopping Leona Misfortune from coming in. Baron's just not really taking much damage, though, and LJM need to be real careful about it. There was another ward put down, as we are going to see Unstoppable Force here onto the bottom lane, on towards Mid Kings. He turns around, dumps a load of damage down on towards Soaz. Xpeke going to get blown up by Mid King, who will flash away. He's surely not going to escape Misfortune with a red buff, though. Soaz picks up the kill in the end, and while all that's going on, LGIM have 4 men trying to finish off this Baron. It's not quite going as fast as they would have hoped for it, and Cyanide with Jarvan. If there's one man on one champion that can steal Barons, it's Cyanide on Jarvan, and Rated here trying to get in there, going to get lifted up in the air. Paragon will finish off that kill, but Jarvan is still waiting.
He's doing it blind, Joe.
The Jar man, is he going to get in? Aww.
so anticlimactic right there.
Sad to not see the opportunity given, at least. But that's going to be Fnatic at least forcing LGIM away from that Baron area, which in itself is a victory, albeit a small one at this stage.
And looking at what happened bot lane with Mid King, I mean, they used the Malphite ultimate to lock him down. They had to send 2 more people as well on top of that just to kill him. With his teleport available, he could just split push this entire time, especially with that mid lane pushing down with the inhibitor being gone, and he had the rest of his team at the top lane doing the same, and no one can take him on 1v1, so he has to pretty much, or sorry, Fnatic has to send more than one person to deal with him, or he's just going to get turrets on you, he's going to get the inhibitor, and you're going to lose the game.
Now, got a 500 gold bounty there, so as for actually picking that one up, which, you know, it does help, but
it's not the person you want to go to.
Yeah, I mean, even if Mid King went down there constantly, even if he dies a couple of times, it's not even that bad for LJM's standing at this point. So we are seeing Dragon, the smaller of those 2 big objectives. Well, let's see what goes down. Blade of the Ruin King actually picked up for Misfortune. Quicksilver Sash obviously was finished off by Varus, as we talked about earlier on. DFG picked up for Katarina, and there is finally that Runic Bulwark, actually for both sides.
Oh, we do see Soaz engaging onto Lilac.
Going straight in there. I'm not sure that Bear's going to be able to escape this one. Enrated comes around the side. Soaz, it will be that mops up that kill, but look at this. LGIM are not stopping with that. They've pushed up through that middle lane. They know it's a 5v4, though can't really afford to be finishing that one off, and they seem to have a few problems, Jason, here, with finding the right moment to turn their advantage into a victory, to close out this game.
We've seen that happen with so many teams before. It's just they had still a 10,000 gold lead, and yet they just can't win the game. They just don't know how to get in there. The thing is, we're looking at it, and it's pretty simple what they need to do. They just need to get that Ryze split pushing, and yet Fnatic is shutting them down. They keep sending 3 to kill. You know, Mid King, they sent 3 to kill Lilac right there. They're picking up the kills. They're getting back in the game. And that Blade of the Ruin King on Yellow Star, that is going to be the key item on the key player for Fnatic. If he can use that over and over, or not, sorry, not use it over and over, but use it to his advantage on the high health targets he's against, he's just going to decimate them. However, Mid King, pick up the Frozen Heart, he's going to shut his attack speed down and really just stop him.
And he's got now 400 billion mana as well to go with things, so yeah, he's kind of strong.
400 billion mana.
400 billion. there or thereabouts. More like 3,400, but we'll go with 400
close
billion.
enough.
Fnatic here actually pushing that top outer turret down. This would be their 2nd turret of the game, believe it or not. They've taken the bottom and top outer turrets, but other than that, doesn't really look too good for him. In fact, LGIM here are going to look to capitalize on that. They've run straight down this middle lane here with Smeb to try and do some damage as the Home Guard boots come off that spawn.
Brigade.
And then it's a little bit scary when they all run into you like that, as Enrated is going to go in. Varus ultimate going to go down as well. It's going to split amongst them. Here comes a tidal wave through as well. Enrated going to go very, very low. Oh, what a Q coming out of Lasher there. That's going to hold them in the air for long enough here for LJM to have time to freely beat them down. Soaz will fall. That is going to be 4 kills. Only Misfortune now left alive in this one for Fnatic, and LJM could close out the game right here. They're not super healthy, but well, they can probably tank things up. Good games are already being called in the chat. Well, LJM are going to go in for it. They dive onto Yellow Star, flung around. There is the ace to finish things off. Mid King tanking up the first Nexus turret. That will fall. Second one going to go down. And LGIM are going to put Fnatic 0 for 3 here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
And Joe, we saw in that last team fight just why Nami is so strong, zoned Yellowstar completely. He could not do anything the entire fight. Fnatic fighting as long as possible, trying to stick into the game and survive. But unfortunately for them, LJM was able to find a way to close out the game, and is with that last big team fight.
Yeah, fantastic play there from LJM. You see the smiles on their faces. That's a relieving win for them in the grand scheme of things. But that's enough from us here on the Casa Desk. We're going to go over to Jarrett, Quickshot, and Panky to break down the game.
Thank you, Joe. Crazy game. IEM took an early lead, and then Fnatic was fighting back. They actually took a small gold lead. They were still down on kills. They took a small gold lead there for a while after catching someone in the bottom lane, and then that was it. IEM just started snowballing again.
Yeah, they were playing a little bit discoordinated. IEM took an advantage for it. They went, we need to get something back here. Let's do this. Did it. It worked. They got their gold back. All right, we'll sail back, get down again. And then started playing badly again. And then they lost it. They went, all right, we need to do this again. And they did it. And they got that back, and then it slipped away again. They just couldn't hold on to those advantages.
They couldn't convert any plays either. They kept having to react to what was going on. And the few fights they did actually pick, it didn't turn out very well for them as the game progressed. And it just seemed that the players were getting a little bit caught and maybe not as coordinated as we're used to seeing out of a team like Fnatic. And unfortunately, it cost them the game.
Yeah, we're going to see one of those fights here, just the replays. So as he got caught a lot early on, right? Towards the end there, we saw 2 or 3 times he did facilitate some kills. He got mid king, and he got Lilac in that volleyball top and bottom lanes. But earlier on, a lot of fights were started because they caught out Malphite, they burst down Malphite. He's a tank. They shouldn't be able to do that.
Let's actually jump into the replay. It's around about 17 minutes on the clock. It is in the middle lane, and you can see members of Incredible Miracle. They are positioning. They're waiting for Fnatic to move up into their, into their side of the river. And Fnatic pretty much just looking to try and take that tower objective. And as soon as we get that replay up on screen, we'll talk you through this one. Panky, talk us through what happened and what went wrong.
That actually just pushed LGIM a little bit further away. Soaz pushes up, thinking they're going to get onto this turret. They're not. They're waiting just around the corner out of vision. Lilac comes straight around, spots him. Mid-king blocks him up with a snare, and he's doing taking a lot of damage in here. You see the percentage health coming from Paragon. This ultimate from Nami is beautiful. While it doesn't hit everyone, it forces Peke and Yellowstar back up the lane out of the fight. At the same time, Cyanide, Soaz who already has no health, and Enrated are going into the LGIM team. They're going to go in there, and before Peke and Yellowstar can turn around and come back from this ultimate, their tanks have been destroyed. So suddenly there's no front line. Enrated nuked there. We saw Soaz didn't even get his ultimate off in this. Yes, there's a lot of AoE damage in there going on to Lilac and Midkin. That's what this comp is about for Fnatic. But there's no cleanup because Peke and Yellowstar, you can see them now, they're still off your screen. They cannot come back into this. Peke there, nuked down. Yellowstar nowhere to be seen because Renekton has got through past the Nami ult, chasing him down the rest of the lane. That Nami ult, it's brilliant. That's exactly what it is. That's why the Asian squads like it so much at the moment. She is, while she wasn't really blowing any minds, she wasn't phenomenal in the lane phase, she held her own. She was strong. She could trade easily using that stun. Now there wasn't so easy, but she has great sustain and harass using a W, damaging the enemy, healing a carry, healing a carry, very, very powerful. So they held her own in there in lane, and then that ultimate in team fights, yes, it's slow, yes, it's large, but that's what it does. It zones more than anything else, and it forced them back away, forced the damage away, allowed the tanks to get killed, allowed them to steamroll through Fnatic. But next replay.
So replay number 2, we jump into this. It's a little bit later in the game. We're approaching 21 minutes into the game. At this point, Jarrett and I were sitting talking and saying, well, what are Fnatic doing? They keep throwing themselves at engagements and their focus seemed a little bit off, and it wasn't really, adding up for them. And this team fight pretty much shows you quite clearly how it plays out. We're at 21 minutes, the Dragon has been picked, and just take a look at how Incredible Miracle just completely zone out the Fnatic members. Let's jump into the replay and we'll take you through this one. Panky, once again, talk us through the action.
I mean, we found, this is Fnatic. Cyanide loves to steal objectives. We've seen it time and time again. So LGIM did it very slowly, making sure not to burst it down, making sure that it's unpredictable. Then they smite it out. And Fnatic still don't know what to do. They don't go in, they don't back off, and then they decide it's too late. Paragon catches Soaz, locks him up. Cyanide and Rated then go stand on top of him, get locked up. And again, Nami ult forces them. It's down this side, so they have to go up and away from their own base in towards LGIM's territory. Mid-King, look at his health. He has dodged that misfortune not just by standing on side, and he is just doing all he wants. Peke, they try and leap in onto LGIM, try and do their AoE damage, and yes, again, they get down a lot of IEM very, very low, but Mid-King this is when he starts taking damage. This is the first time. Flashes just for a bit of flair and some fireworks after his pentakill, but he could just do whatever he wanted for the entire fight. And when Ryze is that strong, you can't let that happen.
And one of the big problems in that engagement right at the very beginning, Nami simply catching Soaz's Malphite there in that Aqua Prison. Stunned him up, held him up in the air. There was no unstoppable force for an engagement. He used that so late in the fight, and it was just so incredibly one-sided. Congratulations to Incredible Miracle. They won each team fight quite convincingly, and while Fnatic had moments of glory, it wasn't enough for them to bring it home to the line.
Well, things aren't going to get any easier for Fnatic, because next game they're going up against Gambit.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one.
But before we go to that game, we have Lilac from Team Incredible Miracle on stage with Shox for a quick interview. Enjoy, they're always very fun.
I'm here with Lilac now. Lilac, very good game against Fnatic. Now, you were up against an AoE comp. How did you deal with that?
AoE 컴인데 그거 어떻게 생각하는지?
한국에 굉장히 잘하는 팀이 많아서 그런 AoE 조합을 쓰는 팀도 굉장히 많아서 이제 사전에 저희가 여기 IEM을 하러 오기 전에 AoE 조합을 상대를 많이 해봐서 익숙한 조합이었었다고 생각을 해요. 익숙한 조합이라서 게임이 잘 풀렸던 것 같아요.
Well, actually, in Korea there are a lot of good teams, and there are a lot of teams who use those AoE compositions, and they're used to play against them, so it was kind of easy for them. Like they got used to it actually to play against those kind of compositions.
Okay. Said it was kind of easy for you. Helios said that he thought that Fnatic wasn't as prepared as they could have been. Was this the case here? Were you just more prepared, or are you just better?
지금 Fnatic가 지금 준비를 많이 못했어. LGIM 한국 팀들 잘 모르니까 아마 그것 때문에 힘들었는지 아니면 한국 팀들 지금 LCS 때문에 게임 볼 수 있으니까 그것 때문에 더 쉬워서 연습 더 열심히 할 수 있었는지.
아마 전부 다 작용했다고 생각해요. 이제 아무래도 게임 준비하는 횟수가 많으니까 프나틱도 준비하기도 힘들고, 그리고 우리 팀에 정보도 없으니까 또 힘들고, 그리고 저희가 또 프나틱에 대해서 연구를 많이 한 것도 있고요. 모든 게 다 복합적으로 돼서 이렇게 게임이 이루어졌던 것 같아요.
But actually, Fnatic, it's kind of both, because Fnatic doesn't have the chance to study LGIM that well, because there are not many games of them, and they have the advantage that they can watch their games, and they did their homework, they prepared against Fnatic, so.
Final question, seeing that Nami pick, which is pretty uncommon, what do you think it brings to the team?
나미 픽하는 거 팀들 많이 안 하는데 왜 나미 픽했는지.
일단은 아까 앞 질문에서 연구를 많이 했다고 얘기를 해드렸는데 LCS에서 오늘 경기에서 프나틱 쓴 조합을 봤었어요. 그래서 그 조합을 상대로 나미가 굉장히 좋은 카운터가 될 것 같아서 저희가 약간 연습을 해뒀는데 마침 오늘 경기에서 픽을 볼 때 똑같은 조합이 나올 거를 예상을 해서 나미를 골랐는데 그게 맞아 떨어졌어요.
Well, when they watched the ACS, the European ACS, and saw Fnatic playing that kind of team composition, they were thinking already in Korea about it, that Nami is a good counter for it, and they trained it a bit. And it's the first time that they tried it, and it worked out well.
Okay, thank you. Impressive stuff. Thank you, the both of you. We're going into a short break right now, but don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with tons more action in just a second.